2023 was one hell of a beautiful year if it comes to games. And for us gamers itself, 2023 was one hell of a year to be a gamer. We've been blessed having games like Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, Cocoon 9, Resident Evil 4, Pinkman 4, and many more. Beside all of these amazing titles that came in 2023, only one of them truly shines above all the rest. One game was officially nominated by many gamers and many expertise and experts as the best game of 2023. The game was none other than the one and only Baldur 3. So today we are going to take a closer look within Ashen Games itself, as me as your host, the Ashen Memnon itself, but also known as the one and only Alain Lusau. We are going to take a closer look what truly makes this game so special. But this game has captured so many hearts across the globe, across the 5 continents itself, across all walks of life, for every shape, color, and religion that we all have in a beautiful planet here. Baldur Gates was for many gamers the best experience in gaming history in 2023. So we're gonna take a closer look what makes this game so unique. By any means, if you like this content, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. But let us be very clear, if it comes to a video game, Baldur 3 itself is simply an hour-ing redemption and a true landmark in D&D video game experience. As if you are a role-playing gamer itself, the structure that is seemingly limitless and the options you have and replayability in this game, and once way you will start thinking that Baldur 3 as a game is sentient itself. So as a good dungeon and master itself in any role-playing adventure session, so you waste no time getting straight to the story itself. So in this review, we're gonna literally go straight to that. I will literally gonna do that. Just like the fantasy city, it's named after Baldur 3. It's a soaring success. It's everything you ever loved about any role-playing experience or game out there, with a perfect scoring to all its stats. Like its predecessor, Baldur 3 take the places in the Dungeon and Dragon atmosphere from the Forgotten Realm settings. Unlike those earlier titles itself, it's an ascent offering from the Mass Effect, the Dragon Age studio of BioWare. This adventure from the Belgian studio Larian uses the 5th edition of the D&D rule sets. With a few homebrew tweaks aside, it's a faithful redemption as you will find in the digital space. As a true dungeon master, one thing we need to ask ourselves, what kind of a dungeon master is Larian Studio itself? As you start recreating your own customized character from a huge pool of classes, species, traits, and even their background, or even after you choose to experience the story of Baldur 3 through the eyes of the 5 wonderful voice-acted and rich story background companions, you wake up trapped in a tube inside of a vessel called a Nautiloid, a tentacle airship telekinesis powered pilot by a bipedal squidish horror monster that you will love to see in the Alien movies, known as a mind flayer or an Lilith. These creatures reproduce by infecting you with a tadpole in your brains once you are captivity. But lucky for you, something was wrong during the procedure of your infection. You escape the mind flayer and start your adventure with your companions itself, with weird abilities received from the mind flayer itself. One of them is you have the ability to read the minds of your companions itself. You set in an adventure to figure out why you put into this particular situation and how you can get rid of this mind flayer itself. A true fan of the D&D story is being kicked off in a true proper way. Every RPG fan of this type of games of Baldur 3 already know the basic structure from before. You'll travel through a huge map, exploring, fighting, looting, and talking your way out to any single quest you find, from main quests or even side quests. Seamlessly limitless huge entertainments and side quests to find, and individual story threads of each of your companions you can discover. You'll get a proper romance of one of even many other companions you'll see on your path. You collect magical gear, you level up, and you adventure yourself in killing rats in basements for a bag of gold or even a level 1 dagger itself. But what sets this apart as its sheer breadth of writing and reactive offering possibility is so varied, you swear to the game was as sentient as sometimes. After more than 100 hours of playing of Baldur Gates itself, starting different classes, finding different ways to enjoy this beautiful adventure itself, one thing that came to mind, that the number of thousands of tiny dialogue variation you have into this game, most of the gamers will never ever be able to see. Because every single playthrough of every single decision that a gamer makes, it truly matters in this game. It truly, in a way, it gives you a very convincing illusion of an actual Dungeon Master setting that you will see on playing into a computer role-playing game itself. There are so many player choices for you to have in this game. It becomes mind-blowing that they managed to put all this into this tiny feat as it's a video game. There are spells in D&D that let you levitate and turn invisible. Spells that let you read minds, to talk to animals or even the undead. Surely Larian can't have written extra dollar for every animal in the game. But just in case, if you really want to try this spell out, and you will see, yes, there's literally every single creature in this game has been voice acted. It's absolutely mind-blowing the feat that they made into this game itself, and the level of immersion you have in this game is simply unrivalable in form of level design. A pure masterpiece. Like a true Dungeon Master game and setting itself, Baldur Gates 3 plays himself in a way it truly matters in your own creativity as a gamer itself. How you can be able to think outside of the box to find a solution. I can promise you there will be a solution for the answer itself. How you approach every single situation. That level of immersion I never seen in any video games out there, and is a fundamental reason why this game solely deserved to have the Game of the Year title. For the player experience, the immersion, the open world, the crafting itself, and simply the breathtaking world that you are adventuring itself is a pause at any game right now. I think 2024 and beyond is going to be a year that we are going to start defining in any single video games that have a level of world playing experience that has to come to what I personally call right now the Larian standard of video gaming right now. Because what Larian Studio brought into Baldur Gates 3 is simply a chef kiss if it comes to world playing experience, and a proper love letter to the gaming community itself. But by all means, like any single video games, Baldur Gates 3 has its own problems. It's not the 100% perfect game itself, otherwise we will not have any room anymore to grow. None of us is perfect, but Baldur Gates 3 is surely coming very close towards that perfection if it comes to video game itself. Like any single game out there, and it's embarrassing to say, even though a game is such a rich form of storytelling and sometimes can be utterly overwhelming, how the sheer size of the map, the player experience it is, I never had such an amazing experience in a video game since The Elden Ring itself. I have to look at as well in a critical aspect as a game reviewer and a content creator itself. See, Larian Studio incarnation of Faerun is something that none of us would invent in a fantasy world to begin with. This density and writing of quality would be impressive in a linear adventure, but to find it in a game world this gorgeous With this many branches of dialogue trees and alternate story moments for you to discover, it's nothing more than short of an awing experience. Most impressively, though, that Baldur Gates 3 never gives the impression that Larian sets out to create a world or a benchmark of a world. It just feels like they wanted to have a world that every single player can have as much fun as possible, no matter how they will play in towards this game itself. You need to understand, guys, when Baldur Gates 3 was released in 1998, there was no such thing as an actual played podcast. There wasn't a such thing as a podcast at all, at least not that I can remember. Now, a film playthrough of Dungeons and Dragons can be sometimes popular in certain terms and animated TV shows, as the case for the massively popular Critical Role. D&D is the most popular it's ever been. It reached an escape of velocity from the niche of the nerd culture itself to more of a mainstream audience now. All things considered, now I truly brought my thoughts into consideration. The question is, of course, is Baldur Gates truly a game of the year, and it truly is really that good? Like I praised before, the form of storytelling, the open world experience itself, the vast dialogue options you have is simply mind-blowing to see at least. But at the same time, the more I play Baldur Gates 3, the more I fear that the answer to that question is not always the correct one for me. Before I can answer that, let me go a little bit more into details. At least try to go as much in details to give you the full picture of why this game is on one point so amazing and the other point maybe could not be a game for you. Let me try to address every situation in an objective way as much as I possibly can, because there's so much details into this game to be told that it's almost impossible for me to tell you in a 20 minutes-ish review. The first thing I want to go to in details is that the game does a lot to offer a form of variety outside of those specific moments you encounter into the game. For example, a paladin can break his oath and turn into an oathbreaker, with a whole new set of skills and side quests that comes specifically towards that playthrough you have done. Or when creating a character, you can choose to give them an option to go to a playthrough that's called the Dark Urge, which is essentially making them a psychotic or a psychopath with additional dialogue options. You can turn to the dark side of the force itself. You can play this game like either Rebirth of Dark Vader itself and Baldur Gates. You can learn to talk to animals and to discover new paths by talking to local house guards, resurrecting dead, and with unique spells to open different forms of questions. At the same time, there is an inspiration system which reward you with the special points if you do something that suits a character. Are you playing a rogue or robbing someone? There is a chance you will get a point for that. At that point, you can try a failed dice roll or motive you to stay in your role. Baldur Gates 3 is full of such nuances that makes every playthrough very unique. And where in many other RPGs, they remain on the surface, or campaign went in completely a different direction than the other friends, everything in the world of Baldur Gates 3 was put there for a clear reason. It never feels like you're walking through a dungeon for one interchangeable battle to another. You will find the chef and his minions in a kitchen, a group of nobles in a ballroom, and because fighting isn't the only option, everyone has a backstory and a dialogue. It brings the whole world into life in a way it's very rare to see in games, where orcs, cultists, and other servers purely are for slaughterhouses, and Dungeons and Dragons is completely isn't the case. If it comes to combats within Baldur Gate 3, the Baldur Gate 3 system followed the Dungeons and Dragons system if it comes to turn-based combats. It's good as identical as you know from Dungeons and Dragons itself. At the beginning of every single combat you have a roll or a die, which declares which character or which person has the very first right to attack first. After which every person has to take turns doing something. On a turn of each character may move, perform a main action or a bonus action itself. At its core, it's pretty simple. For example, you walk up to an enemy, you use the action that you want to do, ram your sword into them, use a spell, healing, just name it. But with multiple spells, reactions or other underlying systems, there are a lot of nuance to take into account. No problems of course for those who are D&D veterans itself in this genre, but for players who are just getting into a newer encounters, and this way of fighting can lead to a steep learning curve on the get-go. And that's one of the things that can be a little bit of a letdown and a deal breaker for a lot of gamers itself. The other thing is the unclear control interface. Learning curve is even steeper if you are playing with a controller, for example. Then the interface consists of a radius menu on top of a radical menus, which every new skills and spells is randomly selected without prioritizing anything. You can try to sort everything, but that's quite a lot of hassle. And because you don't know the trick of trade in the beginning itself, it's difficult to see at a glance which buttons are exactly the most important to look at first. You come across a large circle of full buttons that you are not familiar with, which you have to read on by one to understand every single thing. And then a few times only once you understand the game, the rule of everything, and those menus becomes even more clearer. Many functions are hidden in unexpected places. For points, push buttons are shortcuts to extra functions, but something different if you want to explain them at length. Something that the game doesn't explain to you clearly at the get-go. If you want to understand the gamepad control, the best thing is really, guys, is just to Google every single thing and try to find a very easier solution if it comes to how to manage a control-based system. Baldur Gate is intended for you to play on a PC. Even though the port version towards the PlayStation and an Xbox and a controller version is good, I don't say it's bad. It needs a steadfast learning curve for truly to manage it in a proper way, to putting your spells correctly and learning to use spells on the correct manner. Another point of criticism at the time of writing, you will still find quite a few bugs in Baldur Gate 3. We haven't encountered any game ruining issues yet, but occasionally with a conversation with an NPC it will repeat itself, or the camera would freeze itself. It certainly has to do with early appearance of the game itself, because Baldur Gate and Larian Studio released the PC version a few months earlier to get ahead with the competitor of Starfield itself, which is a groundbreaking disaster of form of a game itself. They are still even lingering in 2024 right now, a few left and right bugs that still occasionally happens itself. Where, for example, in the start of the game itself, when you are being destroyed and pushed out of the Nautiloids, for some weird reason my character spawns himself and that's already outside of the aircraft before I get launched out of it. Or when I arrive in the Nautiloid itself, when you're supposed to be in your pods, for some weird reason my character is showcasing outside of the pod. And yeah, it's a very weird cinematic. It's happening on occasion without me even opening up my pod yet. It's not really a game-breaking issues itself, but it's honestly in a game in this scale with so many variables that influence your playthrough session, It's truly remarkable that we did not encounter more problems than those very small issues and cases itself. Larian has already released several patches for me making this review already, which addresses these issues already. If it comes to the stability of the game itself, Baldur Gate is by far a very stable game. Baldur Gate as a game itself, I need to be honest about one specific thing. Baldur's Gate has ruined many old RPGs for all of us, simply because we expect more real consequences for choices made after this game. It's a game that raises the standard to a whole new level, which is almost unfair to other developers. It takes a small miracle to produce a game like this in peace, with such a depth, beauty, immersiveness. It's completely understandable why this game has been chosen and liked across the globe itself. But at the same time, Baldur Gate 3 as a game is maybe the best RPG in recent years and definitely the best in its genre itself. But it's also at the same time one of those games I can truly not recommend for every single gamer out there. Because once again, if you do not understand the Dungeons and Dragons mechanics and how you need to immerse yourself in the D&D genre, you will need a proper hours to truly understand the system of Baldur Gate 3. It's not impossible, it's just that the level of difficulty is completely gonna be out of your box. As for example, a Souls-like game, a game that is truly, or a genre of a game that guys know me in the channel, that I personally love and adore. Hey, I'm a Souls gamer who plays naked with a club from start to finish, but even a hardcore gamer like myself, I had a severely form of difficulty to understand all the mechanics of Baldur Gate 3. Even up to until today, I'm still struggling left and right to understand the full mechanics of the game itself. But that did not break me to enjoy this game. Even I'm a completely noob in the D&D genre itself, or just a role-playing experience, I still enjoy my playthrough in Baldur Gate 3. I could say that this game was created for a specific niche of role-playing games who love, or at least waiting for a AAA production of quality for years itself, with an offer of unparalleled depth that in some areas of only hardcore D&D nerds can appreciate. A game that is maybe not for everyone, but is definitely the best in its class itself. But overall, Baldur Gate 3 deserve to be called the best game of 2023 of all measures itself. It's an immersive, beautiful open world experience with the player choices like you never ever experienced before. Every single playthrough that you are going to do is always going to be different, and that is just absolutely insane. Every single thing around you is immersive and simply gorgeous to play and towards to. There's a lot of things I can praise if it comes to this beautiful game, and like I said, the future role-playing experience will be held under the title The Larian Standards of Role-Playing Experience. Like you have the Souls-like games are always going to be put in the standards of From Software Souls-like games, the future of role-playing experience is going to be held under the standards of Baldur Gate 3 itself. That is just a natural fact right now. And it may be an unfair statement of myself or unfair standards a lot of gamers of developers gonna need to uphold itself, but it's a standard of quality we must uphold, every single developer out there. Anyways, and thank you very much for being here and for chilling with me during the entire podcast review of Baldur Gate 3 itself, and hopefully you did enjoy yourself and it was clear as possible. And if you're new to the channel, do not hesitate for one lick of a second to smash the like button, give me a thought on the comments down below, good or bad. And of course, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Every single thing is free in my channel. Your thoughts and your feedback truly helps me navigate the YouTube algorithm and of course makes me a better content creator moving forwards. So thank you very much again for chilling with me. Merci beaucoup infiniment. Bonne soirée. And hopefully I can see you all on the next installments and the next Let's Play, gameplay walkthrough, tips and tricks, review or game tributes I do it on my channel itself in abundancy. And of course, hopefully I can see every single one of you as well during my live stream on my Twitch page that is called Alan itself. My every single thing, of course, is linked on the descriptions down below. With one click button away, you'll get yourself to a representative page towards my Instagram, Twitter, Discords, and every single thing around there. Come and say hi. I'll see you guys next time, man. One love only. Peace.